It's midnight and you are watching Nightline with me, Zahir, Kelvin, Abdullah. News making the headlines. Malaysia must leverage on Qatar's digital transformation, says Prime Minister. And Malaysia urges Israel to stop atrocities against Palestinians. Malaysia should leverage on Qatar's announcement to explore the digital transformation sector through the offering of 9 billion rial, or about 11.65 billion ringgit in incentives. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said that the Qatari government's announcement was in line with Malaysia's own focus in the same sector in regards to the field of artificial intelligence, AI.
Tumpuan kita adalah kerjasama dengan Qatar dalam bidang AI. Itu ada dan Institut Pendidikan AI itu akan kita hubungi dan Saudara Zamri akan tentu ambil tindakan susulan dengan Menteri Pendidikan Qatar.
Jadi kerjasama itu dari segi pendidikan sahaja ke atau dari pelaburan juga?
Pendidikan dan pelaburan.
Anwar said this to the Malaysian media at a press conference in Doha, concluding his official visit to the West Asian country on Tuesday. Earlier, Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, while speaking at the Qatar Economic Forum, announced a massive digital transformation effort with incentives worth about 9 billion rials. He said the move was made as his country was striving for economic diversification and moving towards nationwide digital transformation, including in the field of AI. Now, Anwar has emphasized Malaysia's firm stance that Israel should stop the atrocities against Palestinians, release all Palestinian prisoners and agree to a peace plan. The Prime Minister conveyed this matter during his meeting with Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and his delegation in Qatar on Monday. In a post on Facebook on Tuesday, Anwar said that Malaysia will continue to commit to playing its role at the international level to stop the attack on Rafah, including mobilizing more efforts to help victims of the war in Gaza, especially in terms of humanitarian aid, medicine and education. He stated that Malaysia also appreciates the willingness of Hamas to release prisoners, especially children and women, and to accept the peace plan of the Arab world, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation (OIC) and the international community. At the meeting, Anwar also expressed his condolences on the passing of Ismail's family members who were killed in a bombing by the Zionist regime, adding that he was briefed on the latest situation in Gaza and Rafah, which have been ravaged by Israeli attacks for the past 8 months. On Monday, the Prime Minister met the two top leaders of the Qatari government to discuss the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, taking into account the latest developments in the Gaza Strip. He said both countries agreed that all parties should play a role in finding a way to end the suffering of the Palestinian people. Meanwhile, speaking at a special session during the Qatar Economic Forum 2024 on Tuesday, the Prime Minister firmly said no to the idea of a possible second casino in Malaysia. Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, said that Malaysia is focusing on other economic areas that are sufficient to grow the nation's income.
Affirmative no. There's no necessity for Malaysia to venture into casino business. We are focusing on digital transformation, energy transition, AI, and we believe that this is adequate to push the country forward.
We can move on.
He made the remarks when asked whether the government is considering allowing a second casino license in the country following Bloomberg's report last month about purported plans to build a casino in Forest City, Johor. Anwar, as well as parties mentioned in the report, have all rejected the claims. The In Conversation with the Prime Minister of Malaysia session was moderated by Bloomberg Television's chief Southeast Asia correspondent, Haslinda Amin. The government has yet to decide on the new Dewan Negara president following the passing of former Senator Datuk Mutang Tagal. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof said that the decision would rest with the Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, who will submit the nomination to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim for consent.
Itu belum dibincangkan, tapi yang tu di bawah beri bicara yang berhormat Perdana Menteri dan untuk dipersembahkan pada Yang di-Pertuan Agong untuk diputuskan. Siapa belum tahu lagi, daripada parti mana ataupun negeri mana pun kita belum tahu. Masih terlalu awal.
Fadilah spoke to the media after chairing the National Science Council NSC meeting at Perdana Putra on Tuesday. Meanwhile, when asked whether the Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS would nominate their candidate to fill the seat, he said the party still had no stance on that. Fadilah, who is the GPS chief whip, said that no party-level meeting had been held as they await the Prime Minister's return from his official visit to Qatar. On another matter, Fadilah has confirmed that the draft Memorandum of Understanding MOU for allocating funds to opposition members of parliament MPs is nearing completion. Once finalized, he said the draft would be reviewed and approved by the top leadership of all political parties, including the opposition. Fadilah said there was currently no specific deadline for completing the draft.
Kita tengah finalize, tapi gambaran, saya dah bagi gambaran apa kontennya. Pertama sekali ialah untuk kita fokuskan supaya semua jentera ahli parlimen ini melihat kepada bagaimana kita nak membangunkan ekonomi negara, memulihkan ekonomi negara untuk pastikan kestabilan supaya kita akan dapat menarik seramai mungkin pelancong dan mengelakkan perkara-perkara yang boleh menyebabkan perpecahan, 3R dan sebagainya.
Previously, Fadilah said the Unity Government Secretariat's top leadership had decided in principle to consider allocating funds for opposition members of parliament. He said in its meeting held at Sri Perdana Complex, the Secretariat had agreed to prepare a draft Memorandum of Understanding which would be presented to the opposition for negotiation. Fadilah, who is also the Unity Government's chief whip, had previously said the Secretariat would meet to discuss the allocation issue for opposition MPs following a meeting with Perikatan Nasional leaders on March 19. The government has allocated 15.11 billion ringgit to implement 270 entrepreneurship programs for this year. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahir Hamidi said the allocation based on the SME Integrated Plan of Action, SME IPA 2023 to 2024, would benefit 479,350 recipients. Zahir, who is also the Rural and Regional Development Minister, said all the programs had been planned by various ministries, agencies and state governments. He also called for the SME IPA reporting to be strengthened so that it can be used as the main reference by all stakeholders, especially ministries and agencies that are in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. He added that this is also to ensure no overlap in the implementation of micro, small and medium enterprises MSME programs throughout the country. According to the report, an average of 191 entrepreneurship and MSME development programs were implemented every year with an annual commitment of 9.6 billion ringgit. Last year alone, 15.48 billion ringgit was spent on 258 entrepreneurship and MSME development programs. Sarawak's decision to begin teaching science and mathematics in secondary schools from 2026 is the way forward. The state's Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts Minister, Datuk Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, said this is because a major problem with Malaysia's education sector is that many graduates of local institutions are not proficient in the English language.
You go outside of Malaysia, you can speak Bahasa or not with your counterpart overseas. You can't. There have to be a medium where this side can speak, this side can speak. And that's where English is, apart from English, French, Mandarin, it's always being encouraged, all this international language. So you should not just put it aside.
Abdul Karim was speaking to the media at the Sarawak Legislative Assembly on Tuesday. He pointed out English is an important medium of communication with foreign countries for trade and other purposes. On Monday, Education, Innovation and Talent Development Minister Datuk Sri Roland Saga told the August House that Sarawak secondary schools will begin teaching science and mathematics in English starting 2026. This follows the introduction of Sarawak's Dual Language Program, DLP, for science and mathematics beginning with Primary 1 pupils in 2020. Constant exposure to the internet and social media can be harmful to children. The detrimental impacts include privacy issues, exposure to inappropriate content, and cyberbullying. FMT's Samuel Chua finds out what measures are needed to mitigate this risk and support healthy child development.
Generation Alpha has never gone a day without instant connectivity to the internet and social media. Recently, Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil highlighted that even primary school children in his constituency were heavy users of platforms like TikTok. With such early and frequent exposure to social media, what implications might arise when children's screen time goes unchecked? Child psychologist Noor Aisha Rosli says privacy issues, exposure to inappropriate content, and the prevalence of cyberbullying are alarming risks that social media poses to children.
Privacy concerns arise as children unwittingly share personal information, including phone numbers and addresses. Moreover, exposure to inappropriate contents and cyberbullying poses serious threats to their emotional and mental health.
Prolonged exposure to digital screens can also disrupt a child's holistic development, she says, leading to issues like low self-esteem and shortened attention spans due to reduced real-world interactions. To tackle these issues, activist Hatini Zainuddin says it is important for parents to manage their children's activities online and establish boundaries for the use of digital devices. Using parental controls and fostering open communication about internet safety is a crucial step too.
Encouraging children to engage in outdoor activities, providing educational toys and books, scheduling family time without screens, and promoting hobbies and interests that don't involve digital devices can also help mitigate the risks associated with social media.
Meanwhile, Parent Action Group for Education Malaysia Chair Nur Azima Abdul Rahim says there is a need for comprehensive education on navigating social media safely.
We must equip children with the skills to navigate the digital world ethically and responsibly. This includes teaching them about online safety and digital ethics in class or student clubs, and promoting a healthy balance between screen time and other activities.
Besides digital ethics, Aisha says schools should integrate digital literacy into their curricula and host workshops on online safety and cyberbullying prevention to equip students to navigate the digital world safely.
This will empower children to make informed decisions and protect themselves online.
In recognition of the need to protect children, Fahmi plans to collaborate with the Education Ministry to organize roadshows to educate children on how to use social media safely. While this is still being discussed, government and parental action is imperative to safeguard the well-being of young ones, especially when their exposure to the internet is unavoidable. Samuel Chua, FMT for Nightline.
Coming up, Gaza ceasefire talks stall due to Rafah operations. Don't go away.
Mereka ini sebenarnya dalam usaha mencari jalan singkat untuk menghapuskan dosa-dosa mereka.
Letupan bom di pusat hiburan di Puchong sah angkara kumpulan militan Daesh.
Ekstremisme ini juga suatu ideologi yang salah dalam memahami agama Islam itu sendiri.
Get ready, ladies. It's time to shatter the stereotype. We talk career, health, finance, relationships, and everything in between. So grab your coffee cups and wear your sassiest smiles. This talk show is all about you. Catch Women Talk every Saturdays at 5 p.m. on TV3. Stream also on Tonton.
Malaysia hari ini sepanjang minggu.
Istimewa Hari Ibu, hargailah jasanya. Terima kasih, Ibu tersayang.
Jujur dalam perniagaan, fahami etika berniaga.
Isu jalan raya berlubang, ketahui hak anda sebagai pengguna jalan raya.
Juga bersama guru-guru hebat, kita raikan Hari Guru Kebangsaan.
Segmen soal wang. Bagaimana kita menguruskan hutang, gali lubang, tutup lubang.
MHI, Isnin hingga Jumaat juga stream melalui Tonton.
We're back with news from the foreign front. Talks over a ceasefire in Gaza have reached a stalemate due to Israel's military operation in the southern border city of Rafah. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah on Tuesday said that the progress had come to a halt, despite some momentum building in recent weeks. On Tuesday morning, the Zionist regime pushed deeper into eastern Rafah, entering the neighborhoods of Al-Jaina, As-Salam and Brazil as it prepared to expand its military operation. Israeli forces were also continuing to operate with extreme force in Jabalia city, Jabalia refugee camp and surrounding areas in northern Gaza. Under heavy attack, an airstrike on a residential building at the Nusayrat refugee camp has killed at least 14 Palestinians, including children. During the past 24 hours, Israeli forces have killed 82 Palestinians and wounded 234 others, bringing the total death toll to 35,173 people. Police in India have opened a criminal case on Tuesday against the owner of a huge billboard that collapsed on a petrol station and killed 14 people in eastern Mumbai. According to local media reports, police have filed a culpable homicide case against the owner of Ego Media, the company identified as having installed the signage. City Councillor Rakhi Jadhav claimed that the collapse was avoidable, blaming shoddy construction. However, there was no indication that the suspect had been taken into police custody. The giant 70 by 50 meter hoarding previously collapsed on Monday as fierce winds buffeted the city, accompanied by rain and dust storms. Following the accident, 14 people had died, with 75 more injured, with rescue operations still underway. It is understood that the state government would make compensation payments of $6,000 to relatives of those killed. Authorities in the French Pacific territory of New Caledonia announced a 2-day curfew and banned gatherings on Tuesday after violent unrest erupted in the capital of Nouméa and other areas. It is understood that the unrest started with protests against voting reforms that French lawmakers are debating in Paris, which would increase the number of people who could cast ballots in New Caledonia. Following the voting reforms, 46 security forces had been injured in the unrest and 48 people had been arrested so far. Nouméa was reportedly wrecked by high-intensity disturbances on Monday to Tuesday that damaged numerous stores and video surveillance equipment, with most business and shops remain shut. Hundreds of cars were also set on fire and dozens of homes could be seen in flames on videos posted on social media. Tensions in the archipelago between native Kanaks seeking independence and descendants of European colonizers who want to remain part of France have been simmering for decades. After nearly 2 decades, Singapore will witness a momentous event on Wednesday as the Republic inaugurates a new Prime Minister. In a smooth transition of leadership, 51-year-old Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Lawrence Wong will succeed 72-year-old Lee Hsien Loong, who has served as Prime Minister since 2004. The swearing-in ceremony will take place at 8 p.m. local time on Wednesday at the Astana. The handover was confirmed after an April 15 statement in which Lee announced that he would relinquish office on May 15. In the press conference on Monday, Wong stated he aimed to balance the need for continuity and renewal with the new lineup as the government approaches the end of its term, with the next general elections required to be called by November 2025. He highlighted that his cabinet would focus on issues of concern to Singaporeans, such as the cost of living, jobs, Forward Singapore initiatives and other medium-term plans. Sabalenka sees off Svitolina in three-set thriller. Sports after this short break.
Dia diseksa. Itu yang saya tak boleh nak lupa.
Keadaan masa tu nampak kelang kabut sikit.
Memang sedih. Kes itu menggemparkan negara.
Ada sesuatu sedang berlaku di sanalah. Kita nak cari kebenaran.
Menyoroti kes-kes yang pernah menggemparkan dunia dan Malaysia, segalanya akan dirungkai dalam Fail Mahkamah setiap Rabu 9 malam. Terbaharu di TV3 dan stream sekarang ditonton.
Malaysia hari ini sepanjang minggu.
Istimewa Hari Ibu, hargailah jasanya. Terima kasih, Ibu tersayang.
Jujur dalam perniagaan, fahami etika berniaga.
Isu jalan raya berlubang, ketahui hak anda sebagai pengguna jalan raya.
Juga bersama guru-guru hebat, kita raikan Hari Guru Kebangsaan.
Segmen soal wang. Bagaimana kita menguruskan hutang, gali lubang, tutup lubang.
MHI, Isnin hingga Jumaat juga stream melalui Tonton.
Sports football, the UAE Pro League. Ahmad Nurulahi scored a brace to help Al Wahda beat Al Wasil 4-1 in the round of 23. The visitors took the lead just 5 minutes into the match when Omar Kelvin converted a penalty following a poor defending by Al Wasil's Salim Awad. Al Wasil levelled the score 4 minutes later through Sofian Aboufini when the Moroccan defender netted a downward header from close range. Nurulahi, however, restored the visiting side's lead in the 62nd minute when he struck a powerful long-range shot from outside the penalty box. Facundo Krupski made it 3-1 when he met Zelim Khan's Bakiev's pass in the 86th minute. Nurulahi then put the result beyond doubt for Al Wahda when he put the ball into the net again deep into added time. With the results, Al Wahda are in third place with 41 points, while Al Wasil sit on top of the standings with 55 points. On to tennis now, the ATP Italian Open. Number 2 seed Daniil Medvedev survived a real scare in the last 32 after being taken the distance by Serbia's Hamad Medjedovic. Medvedev withstood an incredible challenge from the Serbian, surviving the 20-year-old rising star 7-6, 2-6, 7-5 to reach the fourth round. He will face Tommy Paul of the United States next for a place in the quarterfinals. Earlier, Greece's Stefanos Tsitsipas defeated number 27 seed Cameron Norrie 6-2, 7-6 to advance to the last 16. The world number 8 will meet Australian Alex de Minaur next. In the women's category, Aryna Sabalenka avoided an early upset as she came back from a set down to beat Elfina Svitolina 6-1, 7-6. She will now face world number 10 Jelena Ostapenko in the next round. In another match, American third seed Coco Gauff fought back from a set down to defeat Spain's Paula Badosa 5-7, 6-4, 6-1 in 2 hours and 28 minutes to reach the quarterfinals. The 20-year-old will play Zheng Qinwen of China next. Still to come, cop pleads not guilty to student's murder in hit-and-run case. Stay tuned.
Mereka-mereka ini sebenarnya dalam usaha mencari jalan singkat untuk menghapuskan dosa-dosa mereka.
Letupan bom di pusat hiburan di Puchong sah angkara kumpulan militan Daesh.
Ekstremisme ini juga suatu ideologi yang salah dalam memahami agama Islam itu sendiri.
Malaysia hari ini sepanjang minggu.
Istimewa Hari Ibu, hargailah jasanya. Terima kasih, Ibu tersayang.
Jujur dalam perniagaan, fahami etika berniaga.
Isu jalan raya berlubang, ketahui hak anda sebagai pengguna jalan raya.
Juga bersama guru-guru hebat kita raikan Hari Guru Kebangsaan.
Segmen soal wang. Bagaimana kita menguruskan hutang, gali lubang, tutup lubang.
MHI Isnin hingga Jumaat juga stream melalui Tonton.
Nightline continues. In Perak, a 46-year-old police officer pleaded not guilty in the Ipoh High Court on Tuesday to a charge of murdering a Form 5 student in a road crash near a school last year. DSP Muhammad Nazri Abdul Razak was charged with murdering 17-year-old Muhammad Zahir Effendi Muhammad Zamri in Ipoh between 12:05 p.m. and 12:40 p.m. on December 15, 2023. The accused was charged under Section 302 of the Penal Code, which provides a death sentence or imprisonment for a minimum of 30 years or a maximum of 40 years, and if not sentenced to death, must be whipped with not less than 12 lashes if found guilty. Judge Datuk Bhupinder Singh Gucharan Singh Preet set the hearing for 30 days from November 4th to January 17th next year. He also set July 1st for mention for the submission of documents. Earlier, lawyer Jackie Loy Yap Lung, representing Muhammad Nazri, told the court that they had filed a notice regarding the bail application for their client. However, the prosecution claimed that they did not receive an affidavit regarding the notice. The judge ordered both parties to settle the exchange of affidavits before he decided on the bail application. The Court of Appeal on Tuesday dismissed the appeal of 5 former National Defence University UPNM cadets against their conviction and 3-year prison sentence for injuring Navy cadet Zul Farhan Osman Zulkarnain 7 years ago. The court made the decision after the 5 withdrew their respective appeals recently. The panel of 3 judges were led by Dato' Hadaria Said Ismail and sitting with Muhammad Zaini Mazlan and Dato' Azmi Arifin. The 5 cadets are Muhammad Akmal Zuhairi Azmal, Muhammad Azamuddin Mat Sofi, Muhammad Najib Muhammad Razi, Muhammad Afif Najmuddin Azahad and Abdul Hakim Muhammad Ali. Counsel Amir Hamza Aushad, who appeared for all the appellants, said their appeal had become academic and was no longer relevant as all of them had already been serving their prison sentences since 2021. Deputy Public Prosecutor K. Mangai did not object to the withdrawal. He said all of them were now focusing their appeal on the conviction and 18-year jail sentence under Section 304 of the Penal Code for culpable homicide not amounting to murder. On November 2nd, 2021, High Court Judge Dato' Azman Abdullah sentenced the 5, including Muhammad Shobirin Sabri, to 18 years jail after they were found guilty of causing death of Zul Farhan without intent. Zul Farhan was found with burn marks and bruises in an apartment in Serdang at 8 p.m. on June 1st, 2017 and was pronounced dead at 10 p.m. at the Serdang Hospital. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at Dubai's art museum that boasts 14 different immersive experiences that blends art with technology. With that, I'm Zahir, Kelvin Abdullah. Thank you for tuning in and take care.